Welcome to the Masters of Travel series. I'm John Werner, president of Mass Travel Network, representing 1,000 professional travel advisors, helping their clients plan trips all over the world, amazing experiences. And today I'd like to welcome Scott Kluesner of Oceania Cruises. And Scott, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us about what you do at Oceania Cruises?
Sure, John, thanks. It's great to be with all of you today. So my title is Vice President of Strategic Accounts at Oceania Cruises, and I'm based in South Florida in our headquarters, close to the Miami airport. And I'm originally from the Midwest. I'm originally from St. Louis, Missouri, but my wife and I and our kids moved to South Florida about 10 years ago, almost 11 years ago, to join Oceania Cruises. And so I oversee, some of our top travel agency partners and work with them to promote and sell Oceania Cruises to their customers.
Well, welcome again, Scott, and we're glad that you could join us today. And Oceania Cruises is, such an amazing experience, and I have some of my own memories of sailing on the Riviera some years ago. But one of the things that Oceania, of course, is known for is, you could say, they're a cruise for foodies. And of course, there's a lot more to the Oceania experience than food. But, one of the slogans for Oceania is the best cuisine at sea. And so we're going to talk a little bit at the beginning of this chat about food, and then later on get into some of the more experiences about the destinations and the ships and itineraries and so forth. But what I wanted to do is introduce this video of some of the amazing cooking classes that are on board Oceania ships. So, Scott, it's just, I know from my experience and then just the knowledge I have about Oceania, the cooking school or the cooking kitchen on the ships, a lot of cruise lines say they have cooking classes, but Oceania really takes it to a much higher level. And it's just the kitchen is built for welcoming guests into working with the chefs on board and learning about the amazing food that's on your ships. And so I know that recently Oceania announced some new culinary, I'm referring to my notes here, private dining experiences.
Right.
And so do you want to talk to us a little bit about what the new culinary experiences that have been introduced?
Yeah, absolutely. Always love talking about food and wine, and who doesn't? So our brand pillars, so we have 3 brand pillars, and the brand pillars are really kind of how we identify ourselves, how we differentiate ourselves. There's a lot of choices out there that you all have in terms of cruise lines, different experiences. So our 3 brand pillars are small, luxurious ships. We have 6 ships, 4 that carry just under 700 guests and 2 that carry 1,250 guests. And John, you were on Riviera during her inaugural back in 2012, which was fantastic. And that's one of our Oceania class ships carrying 1,250 guests. And then one of the other brand pillars is unique, exquisitely crafted cuisine. You said best cuisine, John. We actually say exquisitely crafted cuisine. Put a little bit of a finer twist on it. Yeah. And then destination specialists or curated travel specialists. So really, it is all about the destination. But we know that people travel the world and experience the world through food and wine. It's a huge part of the travel experience. So we really decided to make that exquisitely crafted cuisine the hallmark of our brand. So we have invested passionately in that brand pillar since we opened our doors back in 2003. All lines have good food and plenty of it for sure, but we like to think that Oceania has taken it to the next level. And dining on board one of our restaurants, dining ashore, we know that all lines have good food and plenty of it, but we like to think that Oceania has really taken it to that next level, where dining on board Oceania is like dining in a fine shoreside restaurant. So a lot of it starts with our team. Jacques Pepin has been our inspiration since we opened our doors in 2003. And he has sourced an amazingly talented culinary team over our 18 years of being in business. We source, our chefs from fine hotels around the world, from fine restaurants. About 25% of the crew is actually dedicated to the onboard culinary experience. So it is we are very passionate about delivering great cuisine to our guests on board. And a lot of it starts with the ingredients. We have a favorite saying of Jacques, you can't make a great tomato sauce with a lousy tomato.
Yeah.
So you got to have great ingredients.
Yeah.
So we go to great lengths to source the finest ingredients, from around the world. Of course, a lot of our the flour and the butter and a lot of our wines are sourced from France. But it's, Jacques' philosophy is all about simplicity and fresh, high-quality ingredients, and everything on board is prepared à la minute. It's made to order and it's fresh.
And that was my experience when I was on the Riviera. And of course, the food itself is truly wonderful. But the whole experience, the dining experience goes beyond just how delicious or tasteful the food is. It's how it's plated, just the china that it's served on, or the flatware,
Right.
even the way the tables are set. The whole atmosphere in the dining room is all part of that culinary experience.
Right, John. We try to give our guests a sense of place. The dishes in Toscana are served on Versace china. At the beginning of the meal, we have a great selection of different types of breads. We have an olive oil trolley that comes around at the beginning, and we have a wide variety. I never knew there were so many different olive oils. And so you have different olive oils that you can choose from.
And a lot of them infused with all kinds of things.
With all kinds of things that you would never imagine.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Red Ginger, our Asian fusion restaurant, it's kind of fun. At the very beginning of the dinner, we offer our guests a selection of different chopsticks that they can use during their meal. And of course, if you're not adept at using chopsticks, of course, you can have a fork and a knife as well. Great selection of teas as well in Red Ginger. So, and we're drinking wine out of Riedel crystal wine glasses. So, we really do our best, not just in terms of the actual dishes that are prepared and the ingredients, but the whole environment, the whole ambiance of the specialty restaurants that we're dining in. And those specialty restaurants, there's no charge. They're complimentary, so there's no additional charge for our specialty restaurants. Yeah. So we have Toscana, the Italian restaurant. We have Polo Grill, the steak and seafood restaurant. We have Red Ginger, which is our Asian fusion restaurant. And then Jacques, which is our French bistro, named after Jacques Pepin. And Jacques and Red Ginger are on Marina and Riviera, two of the Oceania class ships.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's, and I think the fact that there is no upcharge or extra charge to eat in those restaurants, and when I think about the experience in there, in those restaurants, and when you think about what it might cost ashore, in a let's say a major city to go to such an outstanding, we'll say the French restaurant, and
Right.
what you would have to pay for that same experience. And here you can get it on Oceania, and it's included in your cruise fare. So, I mean, that's just a tremendous value. So with the new the new dining experiences coming out, I noticed that there was like the best of Oceania or the best
Right.
of Polo and Toscana. Um, can you tell us how those new menus came about? What generated
Sure.
that?
Yes, absolutely. So I know that press release went out recently, and it was mentioning the new menu options that are available to guests who dine in Privee. Privee is one of our private dining venues aboard Marina and Riviera. It's actually kind of nestled in between two of our specialty restaurants, between Polo Grill and Toscana. And it's a really just a tremendous space. I was on board with my wife and children a couple of years ago, sailing from Lisbon to Rome. And we were traveling with a group of friends, and there were about 10 of us in total. And that's actually how many Privee can accommodate, is up to 10 people. So it's a private dining room, essentially. And at that time, you were able to order from the steakhouse menu, Polo Grill, and then you could order from Toscana as well. So you could mix and match however you wanted, whatever you wanted from each of those menus. But now we've expanded the options for the guests who choose to dine in Privee. And again, Privee can accommodate up to 10 people. Great if you're celebrating something significant, anniversary, birthday, if you're traveling with friends, family. It's really just a great intimate space. So we just announced that guests can order a tasting menu if they want that as the experience for that evening in Privee. So that's, cheese souffle, lobster risotto, sea bass fillet baked in puff pastry, or roasted beef tenderloin, petit fours. So there's a lot of different options that guests now have available if they dine in Privee. And there's the best of Oceania Cruises too, which you mentioned, John. So that's some of the most popular dishes for our guests aboard Oceania. So we have the scallops rossini, smoked ricotta and ravioli, the miso glazed sea bass. That's always a super favorite of our Oceania guests. Wellington of veal tenderloin, and then ending with a warm chocolate cake. So it's just a great experience and a great evening overall in an intimate setting.
So it's basically additional options for anyone reserving that space and dining in there.
Right.
So it's just additional menu choices. But I
Exactly.
was so when I was reading about one of them, you mentioned the cheese souffle and the lobster risotto. I saw some of the other menus had caviar with vodka lime cream or
Right.
lobster ravioli. It just looks
Yeah,
wonderful.
that is from one of the a sample of one of the executive chef's menu. So if you just want to say, hey, just serve what the chef recommends, that's what you'll have. So the main lobster ravioli, roasted teriyaki black cod as an option, Parmesan crusted beef tenderloin, and glazed butternut squash, and more. So just a tremendous amount of options and variety available to you now dining in Privee.
Well, that sounds like a lot of fun as going into the dining room and saying, we'll let the chef design
Right.
menu tonight for us, and we'll be surprised, and it'll be exciting. I'm
You
sure.
can't go wrong.
I'm sure you can't. That's for sure.
Also, on Marina and Riviera, we have La Reserve by Wine Spectator, where we do a lot of wine tastings, and something we just announced recently as we come back into service. So we have some new wine tasting programs as well. And most of those wine tastings, so La Reserve is a wine pairing restaurant. It's 24 seats, and it has these sliding glass doors that open to our teak deck. So it's kind of this indoor-outdoor space. It's really just a fabulous setting. And so while we're not having dinner there, we'll do wine tastings there. So the new wine tasting program includes California Cabs, Mediterranean Jewels, Forever French, just to name a few. So that's a fun experience as well.
Okay, that sounds great. We'll move away from food for a bit, and I wanted to bring up that Oceania, of course, you talked about the port, the destinations is also part of what is the experience, and what Oceania is one of the pillars, you said.
Right.
So I know that your ships are able to travel to some of the less traveled ports that maybe, the big ships don't call on, or, they don't visit. And the other thing that I've noticed with Oceania's itineraries of the past, and maybe, you're doing some different things now, but the ships also move. So you could have you could string a bunch of, we'll say three sailings all together, and somebody that has more time that can be away longer, they would not ever repeat a port. They would get to go from, the one itinerary to the next and have a new, completely new sailing experience from
Yeah.
one week to the next, let's say.
Right. Yeah, we have, we've designed our itineraries so they do allow guests to do a back-to-back or a back-to-back-to-back sailing,
Mhm.
and really not repeating many, if any, ports at all. And that's been a huge trend as we return to services. A lot more people are booking, they're making up for lost time, and they're booking a lot of much longer sailings, back-to-back sailings. But we sail all over the world. We have 7, 10, 12, 14-night sailings. And longer. They are destination-rich, immersive itineraries. And as you mentioned, we're really known for having some great itineraries. A lot of the times, guests will come to us for the first time because of some of our unique itineraries. They also choose us because of the size of our ships. Again, only 684 guests or 1,250 guests. And then also our culinary reputation. But first and foremost is really the itinerary. So, when we design our itineraries, we really try to provide our guests a nice mix of destination experiences. So those iconic, cosmopolitan must-see cities, and combine those with some of those smaller, more boutique, less touristy ports of call that we are able to access due to our smaller size, like Cinque Terre or Antibes or St. Bart's. And we know that people, their travel decisions are all based upon the destination and wanting to learn and experience more about the areas of the world that they're visiting. So we want to give them more time in those destinations. So a lot of our itineraries, a lot of our sailings are very port intensive. In fact, the sailing I was on with my wife and children and friends was Lisbon to Rome. As I mentioned, it was 10 nights and there were no sea days. Now that's a bit of an extreme. We typically have a sea day, but we are port intensive. So you can choose to explore as much or as little as you would like, but we want to at least give you that option of spending more time in those destinations. So we have overnight stays. Every one of our sailings has at least one overnight stay. We'll stay longer in port as well. St. Petersburg, we'll spend 2 nights, 3 full days. In Saint-Tropez and Monte Carlo, we might not leave until 11 p.m. or midnight. We really want to give, guests that opportunity to get off and sample the local flavors.
Yeah, I remember in the sailing I was on in Monte Carlo, there was quite a few people from the ship went to the casino that evening because the ship wasn't sailing until maybe midnight or something. But
right.
Yeah, allow them time to go to the casino, which is that would be quite an experience there. And so what about some, I think you've introduced some new ports also in recent, let's say this year.
Yeah, so we just launched not too long ago our Europe and America's collection of sailings, which are really our summer 2023 sailings, primarily in Europe. So that's a big part of where we spend the year, primarily in the summer. Europe for us, our Europe season typically begins in April and goes all the way through, sometimes through November. So we just launched the 2023 season, and we actually have 190 overnight stays as part of that collection. So we have Mediterranean sailings, visiting Italy, France, Spain, Portugal, Greece, going over to Turkey and the Middle East, Israel. We have Western Mediterranean sailings. We have a lot of sailings in Northern Europe and the Baltic, visiting, Denmark and Sweden and Finland, Estonia, Latvia, Poland. So we've got some pretty cool itineraries too. We have this is kind of the best of the Baltic, called Legendary Baltic Shores. It's Stockholm to Oslo, and just gives guests, who haven't been to the Baltic region, a great overview for the first time. And it's 8 countries in 10 days. So you're definitely seeing a lot with an overnight in St. Petersburg. And you can actually, that's a 10-night sailing. And then you can pair that with the sailing right afterwards and do a 20-night sailing and include the Norwegian fjords as well.
Oh, wow, that would be neat. Could you give us an example of, since you're staying longer in port, and so that gives your guests the ability to maybe visit some, could be museums or other places where the crowds that might have been there during the daytime, they're gone. So,
Right.
they go there in the evening and it's almost like their own personal visit. Could you describe a couple of those?
Sure. The itinerary that I just talked about, the Legendary Baltic Shores, Stockholm to Oslo, and Oslo back to Stockholm, that typically is in June, July, and that's during the White Nights, which basically it stays light out almost all night long. It's a summer solstice, the third week of June, and I've been there in Russia during those times, and it's a very festive time and a lot of people out just enjoying the sunlight.
Yeah.
And we have an evening excursion that takes you to Catherine's Summer Palace. This is in St. Petersburg, outside of St. Petersburg, Catherine Palace. And it's awesome because it's essentially exclusive to Oceania Cruises in the evening. So it's just our group there.
Yeah.
So it's exclusive. We have a fabulous dinner. We have dancing, we have folkloric entertainment, and it's just a pretty incredible experience. And that's just one example of many that I could share with you.
Yeah, I'm sure. And, I'm sure you go to include maybe concerts and
Yes, ballet, concerts. So lots of different options. And then we have some culinary discovery tours too. So again, we're all things culinary, exquisitely crafted cuisine. So a lot of, we have a pretty high, our guests really enjoy sailing with Oceania Cruises. So we have a 55% repeat ratio. So on any given sailing, just slightly more than half of the guests on board have sailed with us previously. So a lot of them have been to these destinations before. So we're always thinking of new and creative ways to maybe show them something in that destination that they haven't seen before. So we kind of invented these culinary discovery tours a number of years ago. And these are basically culinary immersions of certain regions that we're visiting around the world. It's led by one of our culinary center chefs. And, if you have an Epicurean interest, it's kind of a fun way. You don't have to be a foodie, but it's kind of a fun way to explore local food markets, restaurants, vineyards, farms, cooking schools, with a regional culinary expert. And it really does bring the kind of that area to life in a different way, especially if you've been there, 2, 3, or 4 times previously.
Of course, yeah, absolutely. And these kinds of VIP, I call them, sometimes VIP experiences, you can't get them just on your own. You can't get them from anywhere else. And so I know that that's another reason why people sail on Oceania, so that they can have these kinds of experiences that they can't get anywhere else.
Well, our goal, John, really is to bring that destination to our guests in a meaningful way, in an immersive way. We have another type of tour called Go Local that we launched just before the pandemic. And, that's really kind of off the beaten path type tours, going where the locals go. So small groups, off the beaten path, away from the crowds, kind of, we call it beyond sightseeing. So experiencing the destination as a local would. It might even, involve taking local transportation. So it's not just a traditional motor coach tour.
Sure. Well, I was going to ask you, on your family cruise from Lisbon to Rome, what was your favorite port?
Gosh, I mean, I have to say it was my first, my children's first time to Europe, and at the time they were probably 13 and 12. So it was just, gosh, incredible to experience it with them, seeing it through their eyes for the first time. So we enjoyed, some of those smaller ports of call. Mallorca was a lot of fun. We went biking there. Um, and it was really cool as we actually extended, and we did 3 nights in Rome, and we stayed right near the Pantheon at the end. So we explored Rome. We were in a great location. We walked every day. The kids had never walked so much in their life, and got to take in all the sights of that. My wife and I have been there many times, but they hadn't, and that was just an incredible experience.
Yeah, that's so wonderful. Um, well, talk to us a little bit now about the Vista. That's going to be your newest ship, and it's going to be a class, right? There's going to be several ships of that category.
Right. Right. Yeah. So that's our first new build in more than a decade. Last ship to be built was Riviera, the one you sailed on with us back in 2012 during her christening cruise. So we just announced Vista. She opened for reservations. She'll join us in April of 2023. So just a little bit over a year from now. And we opened reservations back in September, and the demand was just tremendous. So very similar size to Marina and Riviera, actually a little bit smaller, just 1,200 guests, but 66,000 tons. So we'll have a little bit more space for additional food and beverage outlets. So we've got some new dining venues on board. She'll start off in April of 2023, and we'll spend the summer basically in Europe, doing 10, 12, 14-night Mediterranean sailings, Lisbon to Venice, Venice to Athens, Athens to Istanbul. Then she'll make her way back to New York at the end of August. And we'll do a series of New York to Montreal sailings, Montreal back to New York, then down to Miami, through the Panama Canal over to Los Angeles, and back to Miami. So we're super excited, and the demand for Vista was just amazing. We set a single day booking record, the largest number of bookings ever taken in our company's 18-year history when we opened reservations for Vista. There's still space, but the demand that we have for Vista and still have for Vista is just incredible.
And then how many ships are planned for that class?
So then we have one more coming in 2025, and so just 2 in that class for right now.
Okay. Well, that's going to be spectacular. And I am sure that since you have such a high repeat factor, a lot of the clients passengers who have sailed on Oceania in the past, that's one of the reasons why they, as soon as the books opened and they could make a reservation on that ship, they did it right away.
Exactly. So, yes. Yeah.
That's amazing. And any other special experiences that you want to highlight?
Just during the pandemic, right before the pandemic, we actually had just re-inspired 3 of our small ships, Regatta, Insignia, and Serena, and Nautica will go through her dry dock or re-inspiration January 2022. We also
I like that you're calling it re-inspiration.
Re-inspiration, a fancy term for dry dock, but we spent probably about 150 million. We'll have spent about 150 million dollars on the re-inspiration of those 4 small ships. We also updated the owner suites in Marina and Riviera, decorated in Ralph Lauren style. We've also, updated the menus on board as we return to service. We have 2 ships sailing now. We have a 3rd ship sailing, Insignia, this month, December 2021. Our full fleet will be finally back in the water as of April 1st, 2022. So 6 ships will be fully back in the water April 1st. One other thing that we are kind of upping our game on is the onboard enrichment.
Okay.
So we have a new speaker series. We understand that our guests are curious and they like to learn, especially about the people, places, the culture, the history of the areas that we're visiting. We've always had enrichment lecturers, but now we're sort of taking it to the next level. So, we'll have very engaging and thoughtfully led presentations. So we're pretty excited about that. And we know that our guests, that's something that they really enjoy. And we think that when they get back on board and sail with us again, that'll be, better than they remember it.
Right. Yeah, I did. Thank you for mentioning it, bringing it up, because I forgot that was that's also part of the Oceania experience. And like you said, you're taking it to a higher level now. So
Right.
That's going to be, I'm sure there's going to be, like you said, some very engaging talks and a great learning experience for people.
Definitely. We're actually going to be in the Antarctic waters this coming winter 2022 and then 2023. And we'll have lots of different lectures on board, citizen type project workshops. So there's obviously a lot to learn and a lot of interest in that area. So we're really going to do our best to bring as much information and knowledge and that destination, that area, to life for our guests through the onboard enrichment opportunities.
Well, Scott, it's all very exciting, and there's a lot to look forward to. And between the new itineraries and the new menus, the new lecture series, and the new ships coming, so things are looking very good for Oceania and Oceania's guests, and so I really thank you for joining us today and talking about the whole experience.
Thanks, John. It's great to be with you and great to be with all of you. And if you have questions, just reach out to your Mass Travel Advisor. Don't leave home without them.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for that, Scott. And I hope you have a good rest of the day.
Thank you. You too. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Masters of Travel. You can find us on Facebook at Mass Travel Network, on Instagram at Mass Travel Network, and on Twitter at MVP Travel. If you would like to find a travel advisor near you, please direct message any of our social media sites